Welcome to Digital Horology. My name is Seth. I'm a retro computer and video game collector. I also collect vintage digital watches. I'm here today to explain to you the emerging trend of vintage digital watches and why you, as a retro computer and video game collector, should also be collecting vintage digital watches. So why should you be collecting vintage digital watches? Maybe a character from your favorite movie, or that interesting watch that caught your eye, like James Bond and his G757 5020, or Marty McFly with his iconic Casio CA50. Or perhaps you remember as a kid a close friend or family member who wore that digital watch that just looked so cool and futuristic. I'd say nostalgia is going to be people's number one reason they collect vintage digital watches. Alright, so let's go to you PC gamers, programmers, and hackers. Did you know there was a watch back in the 80s that ran BASIC? Yep, back in 1984, Seiko released the UC2000. You could say it was the first smartwatch. It had a microprocessor, ran a version of Microsoft BASIC, and in conjunction with the UC2200 terminal, you could write your own programs and games. Or you could just simply download one of the few built into the terminal. There's even a guy online with the help of an Arduino and some good programming skills managed to create his own custom watch face and even programmed his own version of Tetris for the watch. I'll leave a link in the description. So by far my favorite reason to collect vintage digital watches is game watches. And there's so many different game watches from all of our favorite companies such as Nintendo, Sega, Atari, Bandai. I mean, everyone was making a game watch back in the 80s. In the 90s. I mean, even GCE, the creators of Vectrex. So, of course, all of our favorite game characters are here, including Mario, Zelda, Star Fox, Donkey Kong, Q*bert. I mean, the list goes on. They're so popular back then that even mainstream watch manufacturers were releasing them, like Seiko Alba and Citizen ADEC, and even Orient. The most popular game watches amongst all vintage digital watch collectors are, of course, the line of game watches by Casio. These coveted watches are not particularly rare, but they can fetch numbers anywhere between $150 on the super low end to $400 or even higher depending on the condition. And, the prices of these game watches have risen significantly in the past couple years, and it's only getting higher by the day. And that's another reason why you need to pay attention to vintage digital watches, is those prices. They've been steadily climbing, especially over the past couple of years, as more and more collectors of everything retro and nostalgia have started to join in. Alright, and finally, vintage digital watches are simply fashionable. More and more people are acquiring them at an alarming rate because they're just becoming back in style. If you're interested in learning more about collecting vintage digital watches, I highly recommend you join the Facebook group Vintage Digital Watches, where you'll find tons of active and helpful members. These have been some of the reasons why I think you should collect vintage digital watches. I look forward to making more digital horology videos for you guys in the future, where we'll get into some of the most iconic digitals and brands from the past, and we'll also make some repair guides so you can learn how to fix digital watches yourself. Again, my name is Seth. We thank you for watching Digital Horology.